My name's Evan Ross, and I was actually born in Florida, but we moved up to the Siloam Springs area of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, when I was 2 years old, and lived there ever since. And
Okay, and your skills and expertise is?
yeah, I've been. My father was a computer programmer, and because of that, it kind of got me into the field. And you know, I was going to school for it, and I actually got a job before I finished school, working at Arvest Bank as a software engineer.
I love Arvest Bank. That's my
Really?
favorite bank.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
But yeah, and so I worked as a teller for about a year, and then as a software engineer for about 2 years at Arvest Bank, and yeah, just.
And then what did you do?
It wasn't my thing. I'm a real people person, and just sitting in a cubicle 8 hours a day was just not the thing I wanted to do with my life. And I remember one day, we were back and forth on my job, because you know, a lot of times I would come home really stressed or really irritated, and it's kind of a long story.
Who's we?
Me and Mohattis.
Oh wait, no, you jumped the story here. You got to tell me about your new career.
I don't have a new career.
Before Mohattis.
What?
I was waiting for the story of what you were doing when you met. So that's what I wanted to hear.
Oh.
When you're single, oh, see?
No, I mean,
that wasn't his job. That was kind of volunteer. He was volunteer.
Yeah, tell me about the volunteer.
Oh.
So
yeah.
when you got into that.
Yeah, okay. So, as soon as, I was working as a teller at Arvest Bank.
And your soul was shriveling.
No, I loved that job.
Oh.
I really did.
Oh.
It's a lot of stress, but it's such a rewarding job being a teller at a bank.
Oh.
It's my favorite job that I've ever had.
Oh.
And, I mean, we had a really close-knit group of associates, and a really good customer base. I was working in Springdale as a teller part-time and going to NEWLYWED, Northwest Arkansas Community College up in Bentonville, at the same time. It's kind of to fit my schedule. And I remember I needed to change my school schedule. I had to pick a class on a different day on a day that I worked at the bank, and so I asked my manager if he could change my schedule around a little bit, and he said he couldn't. So I was looking online to see what other teller positions Arvest had open, so I could switch my schedule around, and I saw that they had a software engineer position open. And I just thought, yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
I didn't have a degree or anything, but, I'd been doing it all my life, freelancing and stuff. So I applied for it, and I remember they sent me to this training up at their headquarters in Lowell for being a teller. And I went up there, and it was really, really boring. And we had a lunch break, and I got a phone call from the guy who had interviewed me, and he said, yeah, we want you for the job. And yeah, that was a pretty exciting day.
Cool.
But 2 weeks later, I was working at the headquarters up in Lowell.
And how old were you roughly at that time?
I'm 22 now, so I was 20 at that time. Yeah. And so yeah, everyone made fun of me, but I was literally, I don't think there was one person who was younger than me up there. But
tell me about your volunteer work and what happened there.
Yeah, so I was working up. I got that job at being a software engineer, and 2 or 3 weeks went by, and I was still really into it, but I was realizing more, that this is kind of my thing now, like, kind of sinking in that I have a career now, and so, and again, realizing I got a lot of spare time, a lot of extra, extra time to fill up, and I was getting pretty depressed, and so my younger sister had taught English in Siloam Springs. And she had a really good experience with it. We had a lot of really poor, illiterate Hispanics in Siloam, and she had gone in there, and she really loved it. She really felt like she made a difference teaching there, especially in a town where there's it's a really racist town. They really got problems with Hispanic people, and so she had done that. So I just looked online and seeing what opportunities were available, and I found this. It's called Ozark Literacy Center, and it was just an English teaching volunteer, for volunteers to teach English in Fayetteville, where where we used to live. And so I went to the orientation, asked them what they need, and within a week they had me teaching 6 hours a week. I was, it was a lot. I realized later. It was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was teaching for 2 hours. Yeah. So I from 6 to 8, and so I'd go from work from 8 to 5, and 3 days a week I'd get an hour break, and then go 6 to 8 teaching English, and I really, really loved it. It was a lot of fun. Well, it's got two sides. One, it was so interesting. I mean, because it was really interesting. The people, my sister's English class that she did was in Siloam, and they were, 100% Hispanic. And I kind of assumed a similar thing at this English school, but because the university brings in so much diversity, I maybe had 5% or 10% Hispanic students, and then again, we weren't talking I think I had one Mexican student. There were people from El Salvador, Guatemala. I had a student from two students from Brazil. I had a student from the Czech Republic, 4 Iranians, a Hungarian couple came, a woman from Jordan, a woman from Palestine, a woman from Saudi Arabia. Just all over the globe. It was such a diverse group of people, and it was really a joy. It was stress. That's what I eventually caved. I did it for almost exactly a year, and the stress really got to me. Working 8 hours a day, and then coming out and teaching, 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. It started to get to me, and I was after about a year I quit. But what was it? I taught the class for about. When did I start? I started in July, August, something like that. When did you come?
I come
November. So she came to my class for the first time in November, and
and come on.
That's the hard part of the story.
The juicy part.
She came in November, and
he stutters a lot, doesn't he? When he gets close to this.
She can tell the story.
Yeah. Now you pick up the narrative. He's stuttering now.
It doesn't show me in a very good light.
Okay. No, tell him the truth. The truth is always wonderful.
End of the November, I came to Evan class for learning English, and he was really energetic, and he always come up with some controversial topic to people discuss, and because people from all over the world, and I really enjoy his class, and he was wonderful. And after, I don't know how many times, I started really have feeling for him, and I never missed even one class. And I remember I was talking to my friend and that I really like this guy, but every time he said, okay, today I'm gonna go and tell Evan I really like you, I wanna hang out with you or something, but it was hard. I was afraid that he said no or something,
yeah.
and I just said I like the class. If he said no, how can I go to the class again? And but eventually, one of my friends in Germany, she kind of talked to me and said, and no, just go and tell him, invite him for dinner or something.
Yeah,
And I did, and invite him for dinner.
And your German friend told you you need to invite him out to
Yeah.
where you cooked, right?
Yes.
Ah, pick it up there.
Yeah, she told me that invite her to a place for dinner or something and tell him about your feeling. And I remember I cooked lasagna and I invite Evan and I couldn't tell him that night.
It just sticks right there.
Yeah, I just said,
It's
okay,
right
I
there.
think he got it. I invite him for dinner, but it wasn't like that. And I remember he forgot his corkscrew, and I emailed him. And tomorrow morning, and the next day, he come to my place to pick that up, and that I told him. Yes, I was so excited and so feel okay. It doesn't matter if he said no or yes. It doesn't matter. I just want to get rid of this feeling. I just want to come out. And yeah, I told him, and he kind of said, "Yeah, I'm interested in you too," and we start dating. Yep, it was February 2013.
2013 is last 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You left.
What I left.
You left that part out. It's okay if I tell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, she started coming to my class, and she was you sure you're okay with me telling you?
Yeah.
Okay. And you know, she was a really attractive woman.
Oh, very
And,
attractive.
you know,
Any man would be fortunate to meet.
and so you know, I was kind of attracted to her, but you know, I'm a 20-year-old really shy guy, and so and you know, always kind of looking for clues and stuff. But you know, I mean, I'm stupid as all hell. And I remember this one day, one of the guys in the class, and it hurt her a lot more than it bothered me. She came to the United States with her husband, and when you know they were practically separated before they came to the U.S. They had a really bad relationship. We still maintain contact with her husband. He's still a friend of ours.
Yeah.
But he's
good.
Yeah.
He's a really complicated, confused guy, and we.
So
she you know, she came here with her husband, and you know, at the time when she was going to my class, they were still married and living together. And she came to my class, and one day I remember one guy, was it Ricardo?
Yeah.
One of my students from Brazil, who actually went down to see a couple years ago. He just, you know, making some small talk, asking around the class, you know, oh, you know, what are you doing? Are you married? And stuff like. And he asked Mohattis, and I remember she always said how irritated she got because, you know, she wasn't together with her husband. They were still technically married, and they still lived together. But the relationship was kind of over, and you know, she was kind of into me at the time. And he asked her, you know, what are you doing? Are you married? And she said, I was up there, and she said that yeah, she was married, but she tried to. It was kind of awkward trying to downplay it, like, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, that's what is a little hard.
It's hard to get across, but
when did you guys formally get married?
6 months ago, March 10, 2014.
yeah.
March 10th?
March 10th, 2014.
Yeah, so we started dating in February, and she was still, you know, living with her husband, and I had my own apartment, and her and her husband, they fought a lot. They really had, even just being in the same house, they weren't okay. They had a lot of problems, and so when was it? He started in February. Yeah, that was it. He left in he left for this. He's a PhD student, and he left in the summer to go do an internship in Washington D.C. And that's when I kind of moved in. I kind of moved into the apartment, and we were there for the whole summer. And at the end of the summer, I asked her to move in with me in my apartment. And I went to Brazil, and when I came back, she was in my apartment. I left Brazil on July 4th, I think.
Yes.
Came back on the 15th, and she was in my apartment. And let me see, what else is there to the story? Oh yeah, so you know, it was a really complicated situation. I mean, because she was an F2 visa, which means that her legal status was dependent on an F1 visa, which was her husband.
Oh no.
And so
this is a real serious complication.
yes, it was a really very delicate situation that we were in, and we were really conflicted back and forth. Because they're not knocking down your door asking for your visa. I mean, U.S. is pretty good about that. Once you're in the country, I mean, unless you're trying to do something, they're not going to bother you. But still, we had a very, if anything were to happen, we had a very difficult situation to explain.
So how did you resolve that?
Well, we were back and forth thinking maybe. Because her husband had a PhD and he was on his. I mean, he was working towards his PhD, and if you get your PhD in the U.S. and you're a foreigner, you're on a fast track to a green card, basically. And so, if he got a green card, she would get a green card, but still, that puts us in that. He's a really unstable guy, and it puts us in. It continually put us in a really uncomfortable situation. I mean, he's a good guy, he really is.
But how did you resolve this?
Well, we lived like that for a while, and one day I just told her, we had talked about it off and on, and it was something that was kind of hard for me, but one day I just told her that we were talking, and I said, let's get married, and let's get you divorced from that guy, and let's get married. And we did, and we applied for a green card through our marriage relationship, and in June 20th,
this last June,
we got it. So awesome. Now she has a green card, and we're all free and clear.
Wow,
that's good. Amazing story, Joe.
Amazing story.
We still.
When can you be naturalized?
3 years.
3 years.
36 months from now.
Yep.